and we will be starting the first session immediately. The first session is Retail Dynamics. So let's embark on this journey of discovery and innovations together. Get ready to be inspired and empowered with knowledge that can transform the way we approach agriculture. So we are beginning with the session 1, Retail Dynamics. I invite moderator of this session, Mr. Yogesh Mohite, Crop Lead Horticulture and Plantations, India, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, Bayer Crop Science Limited. Please welcome him with a big round of applause, Shri Yogesh Mohite. And as a panelist, I invite Mr. Azhar Tambuwala, Director, Sahyadri Farmers Producer Company Limited, Shri Azhar Tambuwala. Please welcome him with a great round of applause. I also invite the speaker, Ms. Ansu Archana, Procurement Director, Beauty and Wellbeing and Collaborative Manufacturing South Asia, Hindustan Unilever Limited and Unilever South Asia. Ms. Ansu Archana. I invite Dr. Dinesh Chauhan, Vice President, Projects and Partnership, The Heart. Dr. Dinesh Chauhan. And I invite Mr. N.K. Rajavelu, CEO, Crop Protection Business, Godrej Agrovet Limited. Mr. N.K. Rajavelu. Thank you everyone for being here. Again, a big round of applause for all of them, and we are starting our first session of the day, Retail Dynamics. I hand over the session to the moderator, Mr. Yogesh Mohite. Thank you.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the first technical session for today. And it's a pleasure to talk about one of the important topics, that is retail dynamics. Particularly, we'll be focusing upon the market linkages. Now, to start with, since morning you heard from a couple of speakers that today India, we are really self-sufficient in terms of overall food production. Either we talk about grain production, we are the leader in rice production, second largest wheat producer, we are the leader in pulses production, we are second largest in fruits and vegetable production. So the picture looks quite good. But if you go to the farmer and ask, what is the biggest challenge you face? I think more than 70–80% growers will talk about the market linkages, and the optimum price they get for their produce. Now, why it is happening when we are very much sufficient in terms of production? And this is where I think even government is also realized the importance of the marketing of the produce, the procurement part. We also heard from the commissioner that market resilience is becoming very, very important. And this is where there are many government initiatives which has come up. We talk about APMC Model Act, ENAM, agri-warehousing, and then most important, the FPO part, which is primarily collectivization of the produce, is one of the very, very important aspects. Now, all these things will have a very, very important and positive contribution. It will ease out the things. But I think to see the real transformation in terms of the market linkages, what is important is that everyone comes together. And when I say everyone, government is taking its part, but more importantly, going ahead, I think the private industry, the agri-tech players, these are something, the farmer itself, everyone has to work together. So today we have got a very diverse and expert panelists here, and we will definitely like to hear from them that what could be the probable solution, what could be the improvement areas, and what could be the real transformation things we could see going ahead. But before that, I mean, when we are talking specifically about market and market linkages, what are the different challenges we see? I think one of the most important that there is a lack of timely and accurate farmer information. And this is where we see there is sometimes glut, overproduction, and then there is a shortage which is happening. We see challenges around infrastructure, either it is logistics, then storage, cold storage, the grading system. Also there is a high level of layering in the entire value chain. And then there are some awareness issue, the adoption issue of technology which are happening at the grower level. So looking at all this challenge, let's hear from all our panelists. And let me first introduce the first panelist, Mr. Azhar Tambuwala. So he has been involved in the field of agriculture since 1995, and he has built, along with 800 other farmer stakeholders, India's largest farmer producer company. Everyone is well aware of Sahyadri Farm. He sits on the board of Sahyadri Farms as well as that of many other companies ranging from horticulture, technology, and pharmaceuticals. He is actively involved in the social space, leading the Raj Foundation, which works to promote art, culture, and women empowerment. And he is a sport enthusiast and avid runner. Please welcome Mr. Azhar. And Ms. Tambuwala, my first question to you, I mean, Sahyadri has established different networks, particularly when we're talking about the market linkages. So how easy or difficult it is for an FPO to set up our own distribution channel, including either its own or franchise retail stores? And what are the challenges and learnings you had in this journey?
Thank you, Yogesh, for that question. And that's actually a very big question to be answered in a few minutes, because all that we've tried to do at Sahyadri has been for a first time. So there have been a lot of learnings, which is good and bad. And we also believe that, when you fail, you learn and you know what you should not be doing. So when you speak of, today's session is more about farm to shelf. And we've been in the retail space. We've tried to go into the retail space, trying to reach the consumer with the idea of food safety and traceability and knowing where your produce is coming from. I mean, I often use this example that whenever we are going out to buy probably a car or clothes, we look at brands, we look at what's happening, we look at warranties, guarantees. But when we are going out to buy a fresh produce, there is nothing of that sort. 98% of all fresh produce that we are buying is off the streets. Only 2% is in retail stores. Now 90% where there is that 98% is on the street with no traceability, with no understanding of where that produce is coming from. So we thought of actually reaching the consumer with a sense of traceability, with trying to show the consumer where the produce is coming from, that it is coming from a reliable, dependable, and a responsible source. And getting into the retail space with this thought was bold, was for the first time, because we tried to set up specialty stores which are specializing purely into fruit and vegetable and allied products. However, we also realized that the retail stores, there is a typical, this is part of the learning that we had, is the consumer, there is a very small consumer which is willing to pay a little premium on fresh produce inside a store, and for the entire experience and for the benefits of having traceable produce which is coming from a safe source, which is putting in good produce into your family's homes. Most of the people are actually trying to match the price on the street, which is very difficult. And to make that feasible, we needed to expand our entire retail space, and we had to change all the product lines. So slowly and surely, we had to shift from actually becoming a fresh produce reality shop or a specialty shop to getting into a retail space of commodities and items that we were not really directly involved in. It was started becoming more of a sourcing thing. So 50% of goods actually we could be responsible for because they came from our farmers. But again, the balance 50% came from other places where we had to put in systems to find out traceabilities and responsible sourcing. So that started becoming difficult. And when you look at larger retail formats in the country today, look at the Reliance or the big bazaars of today, what they're doing is they're not specialty, they're into the entire retail space from anything, not only perishables, but from home furnishings and retail and electrical appliances and anything that you have. And in that they have a small space for fresh produce. Now whether that fresh produce with all its challenges, with its perishable nature, of able to throw it away, what do we do with produce which is not actually sold off, can we convert that into salads, can we cut that into juices, all these kind of things. These bigger retailers are still not in serious profits in the fresh produce side. And this is a learning that we had, that getting into the retail space requires a larger format than simply specialized F&V stores. And this is something, I mean, if there are FPOs over here, direct to consumer is a great concept. If you go into farmer markets, setting up retail stores, franchisee models, bringing in profitability is a bit of a challenge. And we face that burn, and if you have that ability to face that burn, please go ahead. There is scope, but it's not an easy journey. We've learned also through difficult ways. I hope that helps you answer that.
Thanks, Azhar. So I think everyone will have its own learning, but at a broader level, you feel that there is an opportunity, and as a FPO, it could be done. Definitely not easy to set up own channel, but in terms of understanding the specific requirement which are coming from the consumer, if you are able to meet that requirement, then definitely you see this as an opportunity. Thank you. Let me come to Anshu Archana. So Anshu is working with Hindustan Unilever Limited as a South Asia Procurement Director for Beauty and Wellbeing and Collaborative Manufacturing. She also leads Global Supplier Diversity and Living Wage Program for Unilever. She has a diverse experience of managing procurement and partnership, supply and demand planning, many other functions at global FMCG and pharmaceutical firm. And before joining Unilever, she was heading Europe, Latin America sourcing and end-to-end supply chain for Glenmark Pharmaceutical. Also, first question to you, as a procurement head for one of the largest FMCG company, what are your expectations from the growers when it comes to buying of the agriculture produce?
Hi, good morning to all of you first of all, and thank you very much for spending some time with us. So Yogesh, I'll try to answer this question in two parts. First, that as a company or as a procurement professional, what are the key things, what we look for when we go for buying any product as such, and especially especially agricultural products. And then second part, that how entire environment is evolving, and we are preparing to manage that entire piece, and especially the resilience piece is very critical. So when we look for any material, not related to agriculture material itself, three aspects are very, very critical for us. One, that quality of the product is right or not, and that product can take care of my consumer expectation. So whenever any material we go and buy, we always look for our consumer, that what exactly our consumer is asking for. Second is the quality. After quality, we also looked at the volume what we are buying, that volume itself suffices our requirement or not. And the third piece is continuity, that continuity of that material can be sustained over a certain period or not. When I talk about quality, it's absolutely no non-negotiable aspect. For an example, when you go and buy Kisan ketchup, you expect certain quality, right? Certain color, certain taste, certain consistency in product. And for that, whatever produce you select, that has to be with a certain quality. If it doesn't match that certain quality, then possibly you will not like that Kisan ketchup over and over years, right? You have to keep that consistent quality across India and across the timeline. Doesn't really matter if you're buying something in January or in December month. So that is the first aspect. Second, the volume. One of the, and especially when we talk about volume, it is very important because you set up a manufacturing plant for certain years and certain capacity. If you cannot run that capacity for certain time, or whatever business case you have prepared, then certainly economy doesn't work. And the second part also, you cannot take care of your consumer demand, which is going to be there. Then the third aspect, which is very, very critical, continuity. When I talk about continuity, actually that is related to many things, and especially when we talk about sustainability. Actually people, most of the time we confuse with one fact that sustainability is something we are doing it for environment only. Actually, sustainability is done to survive. And environment is one factor in this entire value chain. So continuity means that am I going to get that produce or that material continuously for that certain period so I can manufacture the product and take care of my consumer demand. And here as Unilever, we have been working with farmers very closely through our partners, and Sahyadri is one of our partners. We have been working for a decade now, and we have worked literally towards making tomato available with a certain quality, with a certain consistency. Then only we could actually manufacture Kisan ketchup, which is completely local product, what I would call. Just to give you some data, Yogesh, few years back, despite India is a second largest tomato producer across the globe, despite of that, we process only less than 2% of tomato. And reason exactly what I called, the quality, consistency, volume availability. And because of that, we had to import tomato from outside, despite we are being one of the largest producer across the globe, right? Then we worked with our partner and we have started developing certain supply chain and value chain so that tomato can be available throughout the year. We can process it and also, convert in a final product. And of course, we have a very, very strong core towards sustainability. We call it Unilever Sustainable Agricultural Code. And that is very important for us because as a company, as Azhar was also calling out, that where that material is coming from is very critical. If you cannot trace it, then you cannot ensure availability as well as quality as well as food safety altogether. So that's where we, from this FPO, the entire organization, we just would like to pass the message that the three aspect is very critical for us: quality, continuity, and consistency of this entire produce available to us.
Thanks, Anshu. And so you also mentioned about consumer experience, and when we are talking about market-led production, I think this is one of the very, very important aspects to know about what are the specific requirements coming from the consumer side. Thanks for this insight. Let me come to Dr. Dinesh Chauhan. So Dr. Dinesh is the Vice President of Projects and Partnership at DeHaat. With over 22 years of experience, his expertise is in farm solution, large-scale modern farming, supply chain management, business development, and trade finance. He has also worked with companies such as Reliance Retail, Cargill Foods, Mahindra & Mahindra, and Godrej Agrovet. Dr. Chavan is also a member of many advisory boards. Some of them are Tata Institute of Social Science, Lovely Professional University, Africa Agri-Business Alliance, and many others. So welcome, Dr. Chavan, and the question to you is that you are working with a agri-startup company. So what role agri-startups and technology can play when it comes to the market linkage specifically?
Thank you, Yogesh, for such a wonderful introduction. And I would like to thank Bombay Chamber of Commerce for inviting me here and in this conference and giving me an opportunity to share about my views and what DeHaat is all about. So coming to your question about like what is the role of startup play in market linkages. So I would like to state here that whatever my earlier speakers have mentioned just now, like Anshu and Azhar, I think that all the three critical points which you have mentioned here, agri-tech startups are trying to address those issues, and probably they play a very critical role in solving some of these complex issues of value chain to connect the growers to the market. For example, if I talk about like startup like DeHaat, how they are doing it is like currently we have got more than 400 plus modern retail and organized trade on our platform, processors on our platform. With the help of them, we are trying to connect more than 20 lakh farmers to these marketplaces. We are already working with more than 750 odd FPOs across 12 states and 160 districts in India. Just to give you a very small example, like what we have done in last season was like, if you talk about a commodity like maize and state like Bihar, so we procured almost 10% of the total production of the state. Right? So for a startup, it's a huge number in terms of procurement. Some of the other challenges which agri startup can address as far as farmers are concerned is that how faster the transaction can happen and how the payment can be released. So probably here what we do is that we reduce the time period on which the payment is made, like somewhere less than 72 hours or 48 hours exactly. So most of the cases it happens within 24 hours the payment gets transferred to the farmers, and this is a very big thing for any grower, because in the typical trade normally they get the payment at not less than within a month. Right. Then the capacity building of these growers, and we are also all these agri startups are trying to reduce the losses in the value chain, right? So by bringing awareness, capacity building, improving efficiency of supply chains, these are some of the areas. Obviously, yes, traceability. So with the help of technology, we are trying to bring in blockchain technology and other technologies to have end-to-end traceability of the produce. With the increased level of consumer awareness, most of us would like to know that from which field the crop is coming to their table, and what are the package of practices which have been adopted. So probably here the tech plays a very critical role, like even for all the agri-input companies, when we talk about like global good agriculture practices or maybe even organic. So if you can record the operations on the ground level, which is very important to actually validate whether the sustainability angle is being taken care of or not. So these are some of the areas where agri startups play a critical role. Yeah. Thank you.
And Dr. Chavan, just one data point, we heard that last 5 to 6 years, almost $4.5 billion dollar kind of investment has happened in the agtech space, and within that almost 70% is towards the market linkages agri startup. So do you, very short answer, do you really believe that maybe next 5 years or 10 years we see a real transformation around market linkages?
Yeah, yes. You see, market linkage is very important. Like when in the last 2 decades, I've been working closely with the farmers, and the very key challenge or issue, अगर किसान को हम जाके पूछते हैं कि आपका प्रॉब्लम क्या है, so I haven't come across a farmer who says कि मेरा yield बहुत ज़्यादा होना चाहिए. वो सबसे पहला उसका सवाल होता है कि अगर मैं उगा भी लूँगा तो आप मुझे इसको कहाँ पे बेचने लेके जाऊँगा, ठीक है. So if you have got a market for them, I think they are ready to adopt whatever technology you want to give it to them. They are open to adopt technologies, they are open to invest, they are open to use better technologies, whether it is agri input or other things. But the bigger question lies that are we able to provide them the market, right? The one very critical issue, like which Anshu mentioned about like availability of the produce across the year, right? So as you rightly mentioned that almost less than 2% of the tomatoes are being consumed in processing industry. We have seen that in last couple of months, like how the prices have gone up and why it happened. So last year and every alternate years we see this happening, farmers throwing tomatoes on the roads, and then there is a glut in southern part of India and there is shortage in the northern part of India. So why this happens? Like probably technology can play a very critical role. We can map the calendar, we can see how the availability is moving, what are the areas which have been where we are sowing which crop. So probably I think the recent framework which Government of India is developing, this will all help in decision making processes, and probably we will be better able to map which crop to be grown at which part of the country and where is the availability and what is the quantity and what is the quality of it, right?
Thank you, Dr. Chavan. So let me now come to the next panelist, Mr. N.K. Rajavelu. Mr. Rajavelu is the CEO of crop protection business for Godrej Agrovet Limited, with over more than 25 years of experience across different roles in building and growing profitable business. So he started in sales and then has headed different functions within the organization. And during his stint around two decades at Dow AgroScience, he spearheaded both domestic as well as international business for the company. He is also a very active participant at various industry forums and like to contribute on different industry issues as well as mentoring of the people. Welcome, Dr. Rajavelu, and my question is overall input, not only the crop protection, but seeds, fertilizer, as well as agrochemical play an important role in the overall production. And while we are talking about the market linkages, I think again it goes back to the quality, it goes back to the productivity. So can you elaborate with some of the examples how the inputs are very, very important and it's helping growers for better production and quality?
Yeah, thank you, Yogesh, and welcome all the panel members here for this important topic. From agri input point of view, I think all of us touched upon certain vital points. I would also like to reiterate the same thing. I mean, for any input to the farmer, I believe, the quality, availability, accessibility and affordability are the key things that helps the inputs to the farmers. And if you just look into the whole production cost, almost 50% of the production cost is coming from these basic inputs. Not we talk about the labor and other things that follows after that. And if you be very particular, if you just look into it, almost like 15-20% of the input cost comes only from seed. So, which can be improved to 45% by adding other efficiencies into the system as the farmer grows the crop. So I think it's very critical that the quality input, which is available and accessible to the farmer at an affordable price, is something that is very, very important. But at the same time, we also feel that what are the things that the farmer, or what are the initiatives that we can take in terms of helping the farmers to be better in their activities in terms of the production and ultimately leading to the market linkages where he wants to realize a better price. One of the things that we also from a agro input firm point of view is to always look into the capacity building of the farmers. What do we mean by that is we educate the farmers in terms of identifying the right products, the right inputs, and help them the basic informations and how it actually impacts their production as they go forward. So one of the things that we should look at in terms of helping the farmers is to identify the quality inputs right from the beginning. That's something we as agri input firms also do that. And second thing is obviously people talked about the traceability. Obviously the traceability of inputs is also very critical. We need to educate the farmer. The farmer should know from where this product is coming from, what is this product is all about. and such basic informations can be made available through a simple QR code facilities where the farmers can by himself get assured by scanning the code and understanding the nature of the product and what product he is going to use, and thereby we are helping him to ask the right questions and also asking him to use the right inputs into his production, into his farming. Also, I think the better vigilance from a regulatory point of view, I'm sure that this market is very attractive market and farmers should get the right inputs, and probably there are some opportunities for others to give a substandard input, and that's where the vigilance in terms of getting those products out of the market and only giving the quality inputs to the market needs a better control, which I think the government is taking a lot of efforts, and we are also actively participating with the government in terms of helping them identify the right products and giving the right information to the farmers. Last but not the least, I think the FPOs is a great concept. Mr. Azhar is also here. The small farmers, with the unite together, the scale of economies is going to be much, much bigger than what we think, and that's something we should all foster those changes. FPOs is a great example which can really change the landscape of the farming and directly help the farmers to have inputs as well as the market linkages, which we from Agri Input point of view are also actively working towards that. So these are my initial thoughts on the first question that you asked.
Thank you, Mr. Rajavelu. And as an industry colleague, I fully echo with you. It's not only about the quality inputs, but I think particularly private industry in the crop protection is playing a very, very significant role when it comes to the capacity building at the grower level. So thanks for that input. Let me again come back to Mr. Azhar. And Azhar, when we talk about the domestic market, having a strong export orientation brings many benefit in stabilizing the domestic market. Now, grape is one such very good example, but how important overall export when it comes to agri-commodity? And the second question to that is that why we do not have any other success story like grape when we talk about, let's say, fruits or vegetable exports?
Sorry, what was the first question?
So first question is about importance of export for stabilizing the domestic market. And second is, I mean, like grape, why we don't have many other success stories for other fruits or vegetables?
Thank you again for that, Yogesh. Very quickly, I just like to say, I wouldn't agree with that statement really to say that it will stabilize. How does export stabilize the domestic market? However, just to give an example, we are a company, I mean, usually companies actually begin in their home market and then they go out for export. We are a company which worked in the reverse. We went out and learned things, we exported. Once upon a time, 100% of our turnover was export. Today it is probably about 60-70% of the turnover is export. We've gone from outside and come inside. But to give a reflection on your question is how does it stabilize? What we've done is we've taken a lot of learning from international markets. We've traveled extensively, learned what is different from India, what are the commonalities, what can be brought to India with regard to technology, with regard to markets, with regard to product, with regard to branding. How do you manage, how are they managing, how are we managing, what are our inherent challenges which are extremely different from their challenges, and bring some commonality and bring those learnings into India. So I think that would be a better answer to your question as when you say how does it stabilize. I think going out learning, and in fact what I have done for many years is actually taken growers from India, a batch of growers every year to different parts of the world. And what the reason is that they have got an understanding of agriculture. They're sitting here in their villages with an idea of, whether the Western culture is different from the Indian Sanskriti, and we've got what it is, and we understand everything, and those guys are the bad guys, or they're not the good guys, You've got an image about the US and the Western social morals and stuff like that. When you put them on a plane and you take them there and you tell them, all right, all said and done, you may be the best in the world, but why are they ahead of you then? And try to put that seed of thought into their mind. And when they come back and then they see there are women managers over there are farm managers, and how are they managing with their challenges, and how they can be progressive, how we need to change our outlook to do that. That entire experience helps them bring back to their villages, to their homes, a new, how do I put it, a new wave, which enthuses them to go out and do something more and more different, So you're actually putting them, instead of coming and giving them a lot of gyan and telling them this is what the way it should be, put them out there and go there. So, so moving away from that question actually which says how does export stabilize, I think there was a lot of export learnings from there which we have used to stabilize a lot of the domestic part. Now,
sorry, my point was primarily price stabilization point of view, not the demand stabilization.
That I will, it will be part of your second question, how do we stabilize, not from a market stability point of view, because India, very fortunately, has got a fantastic huge home market. And that home market is enough for any grower to sell the produce, even maybe at a lower price, but he still can sell the produce 99% of the time. So the export markets typically are only lucrative if they give you a good price, and oftentimes we have seen that the Indian domestic market is giving you a better price than the export markets. And in fact, from a processing point of view, a lot of countries are focused on growing for processing, and India is not. Like Anshu also mentioned, that only 2% is actually processed, right? And because we are not a processing country, because we've got a huge home market, a domestic market which gives you a fair price, and processing is only looked after as a last option. So market stability actually, export markets are not really important for that. And coming back to your second question, why there is no other product line which is as good as the grape? Again, I come back to the fact that, okay, we've got a huge domestic market over here. 95% of grapes grown in India, because that's the example he took, 95% of grapes grown in India is sold domestically. When you look at other grape growing countries in the world, probably 80-90% is exported because they don't have a home market. There is a need for them to export. If they don't export, it's going to perish. They're going to have to let it fall into the vineyards. So they are forced to export, and therefore you have South Africa and Egypt and South American countries and even the US forced to export. India has got this huge benefit of having 90-95% of grapes grown in the country, sold in the country. And therefore we, again coming to your price question, is we are always matching our export price to a domestic price. Now there's a slight difference here. Other countries, because of the fact that they have to export, they're working on a production price. So they look at it as a business, as a manufacturing, that you put in your costs, I've got a cost and I need to earn above that, so they work on production price. India, on the other hand, is working actually on a market price. So my manufacturing price could be X, but my domestic market is giving me X plus. Therefore, my export price has to be X plus plus. Otherwise, I cannot export, because a grower will say, I'm not incentivized enough to actually export. Again, to answer the last bit of a question, why no other product? Again, it is that with being the second largest producer of fruits and vegetables in the country, grapes again 95% stays in the country, only 5% is exported. We do not have any such niche product lines. Now grapes enjoys a window in the world where nobody else grows grapes. So this is one of the larger reasons that in that window, India is able to fill in that gap. So that becomes a very prominent and important aspect for India's demand and the industry. Because of this particular demand, the industry has matured in many, many ways with regard to quality, quantity, consistency, regular supply, the whole gamut that is required for an entire industry to move up. And that has happened, which does not exist typically in many other product lines in India, because of which you cannot really find a niche. And if you then need to compete with other countries which are working on a production price and you're working on a market price, this is where the disparity comes, because there's no real demand for the product and it's a push product more than a pull product.
Yeah.
Hope it answers.
Thanks, Azhar. So I think very, very important point you highlighted, that the industry has not matured maybe for other crops, but particularly in case of grapes, there were certain setbacks which happened due to export rejection, and then everyone awakened. It was well supported by the growers, it was well supported by the institute like NRCG, it was well supported by maybe in the years to come we see pomegranate and banana could lead the way when it comes to the export. Thanks, Azhar, for that thoughts. Let me come to Anshu again. Anshu, you have worked with the pharmaceutical industry for a long time. Are there any strong learnings or practices from the pharma industry which we can suggest or adopt for the agriculture industry?
Thank you, Yogesh, for asking this question. I think we can learn a lot from pharmaceutical industry, especially when it comes to food. In pharmaceutical industry, usually any medicine you prepare that's for life and death, either you consume or apply, it directly impacts your health. Similarly, food you ingest, it has exactly same impact the way medicine works. Of course, medicine is a chemical, so it has certain way of working. It can be faster working on your body, but food, exactly what you consume, your health gets decided by that. So I think quality and safety of the material or product is key in pharmaceutical. It has evolved due to regulatory requirement in general. However, in food, in Unilever, we are obsessed with the quality or safety, food safety. Considering the one simple incident like salmonella presence in that product can kill entire brand, certainly that safety has to be at paramount every time we produce, and this production directly is linked with the material. And the second part is traceability. In pharmaceutical, again, it came due to regulatory requirement. However, in food, it is very important that we trace from till, the grower end. And let me bring very factual importance over here. Dr. Usha has mentioned carbon credit. Now, when you talk about carbon credit, if you do not trace each and every step on the way, you will not be able to calculate your carbon footprint. Similarly, you will not be able to do a long-term planning that how this entire material availability throughout the time will be done. And at the same time, the safety, let's consider there is some problem at later stage, you will be able to trace back that where problem came. So I think two aspects, that safety and traceability for food products are very, very critical, and in coming years it is going to be even more important if we want to become a world leader for carbon credit piece. So when you are able to trace till, that what is your carbon footprint, how it is getting manufactured throughout the process, I think will be winner in coming years.
Yeah. So, Anshu, you mentioned about two important things, safety and traceability. I think today also, when we talk about safety and traceability, primarily it is related to export. So when we talk about export, both the things become very, very mandatory. But when we are talking about domestic market, I think still we need to be more sensitive. And this is not at particular level, but across, at the grower level, at the consumer level, we need to have that high level of awareness about safety and traceability. Thanks for highlighting that.
Just to add on, Yogesh, as Azhar has also mentioned that around 95% of our produce gets consumed in our country. We have a biggest advantage that we have a big domestic market. So unless we respect our own market and ensure the traceability and food safety, we will not be able to actually solve the food crisis problem as such. So I think it would be very important that we respect our domestic market, because anyways 95% of the product gets consumed in this country. And we have a growing population. So certainly, dialing up those aspects for our domestic market would be very critical.
Yeah. Thanks, Anshu. Let me again come to Dr. Dinesh. Dr. Dinesh, going ahead, what role online platforms, e-commerce channels will have again in terms of market linkages? And in continuation of that, I mean, what will be your advice for the grower when it comes to adoption of this, let's say, new channel or new technologies?
So, if we talk about like what role e-commerce will play in coming days, right? So, if we talk about 10 years back, like probably very few people might be using e-commerce platform here in India, including me. But today, most of the things we do transact digitally, and we prefer to go to online platform. And even if we go and do something physical shopping, still we will check there also that what are the price availability on e-commerce platform. So the decision-making process is like each and every consumer will go and validate the e-commerce platform before even going in for physical transaction at store itself. And with the increased penetration of mobile connectivity network, I think now even in the rural part of India, and even all the tier 2 and tier 3 cities also have got access of all these e-commerce platform. And also with the increased logistics company and startup ecosystem where supply chain, a lot of challenges have been sorted out. There have been, like, if I talk about e-commerce platform, then in case of agriculture, there will be two sides of it, right? So one is the production side of it, where we can, where the bulk transaction has to happen from field to the processors or bulk buyers and all. So e-NAM has been playing a significant role in it. Probably still it is a long way to go, but I think that adoption has been increasing over a period of time, and I'm very optimistic that more and more transaction will come on these platforms. And even other startups are also having their own platform like ours, and there are a lot of other companies who are doing that digitally. So yes, there has been a lot of applications and platforms where farmers can now see and vet the prices, what is available for them to sell of their produce. Coming to the consumer side of it, like ONDC is now going to be a very big player in coming days, and I am sure that if we are going to give thirst on ONDC platform, if we see that in the next couple of years, we will see more and more thirst from the government side and various platforms, more and more consumer awareness will come, and a lot of transaction will start happening on the ONDC platform as well. Something similar like what happened to the digital payment and UPI. So I think that I am very optimistic that ONDC is going to become the next revolution for smaller FPOs and then small time MSME sectors and small startups who are doing food processing. ONDC can become a very big player in coming days. I am sure, apart from all other platforms which we have. I will not name them, but there are a lot of other options available where you can go and sell your product online digitally. So yes, there are a lot of options available, and I'm sure this market is going to boom in coming days. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, and Dr. Dinesh, I mean, today, as a person, as a consumer, we are, I think all of us, we are habituated with this online shopping, and Flipkart, Amazon, besides all other benefits of convenience, I think most important is still the discount. And today, 10%, 20% doesn't attract us unless it is 40%, 50%. Do you see that kind of thing happening for the grower as well through online platform?
You see, there is a different economics which happens in when we see online platforms offering discounts, right? So somewhere there is a cost which has already been inbuilt in the process, right? So it is just to bring more and more traction on the platform, to get more and more consumers to actually explore what the platform is all about and how we can add on the consumers on the platform. I saw this happening some 10-15 years back in the retail sector as well, when we were there and we were offering products on the shelves at a huge discounts, right? And I was just wondering at that point of time कि इतना सस्ता करने की ज़रूरत क्या है? Okay. But then now I realize that when the companies are clocking EBITDA positive after 6-7 years, now I can understand the logic behind it. So sometimes you have to do all these things just to make consumer used to of those services. And once the consumer is there, then probably the market will stabilize and come to the standard operating platform. So it's just a matter of time. तो ये सब settle हो जाता है. Offers हमेशा नहीं रहते. अगर आप देखेंगे टेलीकॉम सेक्टर में भी तो थोड़े दिन पहले बहुत सारे फ्री में कॉल अवेलेबल था. नाउ द एवरेज कॉस्ट ऑफ ईच कंज्यूमर हैज गॉन समवेयर अराउंड 300 रुपीज, राइट? सो पर कंज्यूमर, per customer. So market stabilizes over a period of time, right? So
Sure, I agree. So next question is to Mr. Rajavelu. So as a crop protection industry, what innovations are taking place which will help the growers in the times to come?
A very important question, just when we talk about innovation in agriculture, we believe that there is a lot of opportunities to bring very good innovations in Indian agricultural sector. One of the sectors which stood tall even during COVID times was agriculture, which the GDP, the economic growth rate was much better than other industries. So which also tells us that this is a very important sector where innovations are very much needed. Probably today we have a lot of opportunities to do that in this space. And what we have achieved so far is a testimony of what we have been doing for the last several years. And thanks to all the people who have been involved in this to bring to this level. But I believe that there is a lot of opportunities moving forward in terms of bringing innovations into this sector in various forms and angles. Why? Because we all know that it's a less area we have and we need to produce more. And when you look into the productivity of each crop compared to the global standards, we believe that India has a lot of opportunities to step up their production as well as the productivity, for which the farmers should have innovative solutions. Now when we talk about innovative solutions, it can be in various forms. It can be in terms of the reason one talks about the smart farming, precision agriculture. We are also talking about drone farming, not only spraying by using drones, but what other information that the farmer can get. With all this Internet of Things, today the information accessibility to the farmer, to the common man is quite important, and it is increasing drastically. With the help of a smartphone, he can get information whatever he wants. But what is more important is how do we bring those innovations at the doorstep of the farmer so that he can take informed decisions. The other thing that I always look at is when we compare agriculture from Indian point of view and from the Western world, we have a lot of opportunities here as well. Be it an innovative formulation where the farmers can use an environment-friendly formulation is also an innovation that we can think about. And also today the Indian companies have started investing heavily on their R&D, which makes the new technologies available to the farmer at a cost-effective way than what was there before. We are able to manufacture many products. We are able to manufacture many new intermediates. We are able to develop many new formulations which the farmers can use in an eco-friendly way. Apart from that, today the tables are turning different in the sense that earlier, I think Yogesh, you can also agree to this, any new product that has to be introduced in the country, we would be the third or fourth, or even after 10-15 years only we used to get the product. Today we are having products which are launched globally and maybe first time in India also. I think these are the new innovations where it also talks about the Indian companies, how they are looking forward for it. Plus a huge space is there where we have miles and miles to go to bring innovative solutions to this farmer. I see that this decade is going to be very important for all of us in terms of bringing a new approach towards farming and through innovative solutions, which I think we should all be proud of.
Yeah, absolutely agree. And I think as you rightly mentioned, if you compare the time of, let's say, 15, 20 years back and compare the products today, we have grown significantly in terms of the safety profile of the product, in terms of the overall consumption or content of the product, the dosage has come down. It is helping for the environment as well. More importantly, it's not only the products which is important, but the technology adoption. The drone application has started, mechanization of spraying application is happening. Data is becoming very, very important. There are many companies that are working on different digital applications, data management, which will also help the growers, not only from the production point of view, but going ahead towards the market linkages point of view. So a big thank you to all the panelists, but before closing, let me open it for all the audience. If there are any questions from the audience, please raise your hand. You will be provided with the mic. Can you help with the mic, please?
Hello. Very good afternoon to all of you. My question was to Mr. Dinesh Chauhan. He's a vice president with the project and partnership with the DEHAT. Sir, just you talk about the online companies and online transactions, where every process, just I want to know, like example, there is a farmer who is producing his goods, fruits, then there is a one company like DEHAT, he's procuring the goods from there, and they are selling the goods to our customer. Either it can be a retail, it can be a retail XYZ. Just I want to know one thing, the transaction what happens in between the company to the farmers. Are the farmers safe for the payments and all that? Because as I'm an importer working for more than 2.5 years, I have seen the payments now not been done to the farmers, payments are not done to the exporters where we have done. I am already importing from Turkey, Iran and other countries. I have seen the payments are not been done. There are companies, we have not settled the dues from there, and when it goes to the customer, the same thing happens. The customer also is get the backlog for that. Example, I'm selling the goods to them, so definitely, and the same with the quality issue also. So can you?
I got your question. Yeah. Okay. So so when we say that we are buying from the farmers and then supplying it to either a processor or a trader, so the payments are more than 100% safe. Right? So why I'm saying that we are taking the ownership of the product of the payment for the farmer on farmer's behalf, right? The incidences where we can see that some of the payments are not done is not because of the commitment, right? In a lot of cases we have seen that because the quality was not matching, or maybe there has been some difference on the from the perspective of the quality which was agreed upon and what was delivered, right? So there will be some deductions which will happen, but that is a separate concern. But yes, in case of payments, it is always taken care of, and in our case, we ensure that the payment, especially in case of farmers and FPOs, is made within 24 hours. I use the word 72 hours or 48 hours just because when we do the first transaction, there are times when you have to reconcile the bank accounts and all those things. But normally once the customer is a regular one, the farmer is a regular or the FPO is regular transaction happening, उसके बाद में प्रॉब्लम नहीं होता है, और वी इंश्योर दैट द पेमेंट इज बीइंग मेड. हमारे केस में बहुत बार ये होता है कि जब हम ट्रेडर के साथ में ट्रांजैक्ट कर रहे होते हैं या प्रोसेसर के साथ में कर रहे होते हैं, तो द पेमेंट टू द फार्मर इज रिलीज्ड फ्रॉम आवर साइड, and we take care that the deliveries are happening and that payment has been done by the actual buyer to us. So that is the reason we protect the interest of the farmer as well as buyer as well, right? In most of the cases. Yeah.
Thank you. Looking at the time, we will have only one more question. I think that gentleman raised the hand first. Please go ahead. Very quick question and very quick answer, please.
Right. Thank you so much, Yogesh sir. My name is Monesh Rathod. I've got a quick question for the entire panelists. Over the years, we've seen a dramatic increase in the input costs, which has led to a substantial increase in the growing costs as well. which also in turns echoes on one fundamental thing, that the farmers are not able to gain a premium over the produce. So probably if the entire panel can give us some insights, how can we mitigate this one factor of increasing input costs, and how can in terms of quality the farmer can benefit the most and fetch a premium out of the produce. Thank you.
Anyone wants to take the question?
Maybe I would like to say, maybe others can add on it, right? So when we say that the cost of production has gone up by use of better quality of agri input, why the premium is not being delivered to the farmer? So as you know, I told earlier, price discovery is not dependent upon the cost of production, right? So it is on the terms of it. It operates on a lot of other factors, like what are the international price, what are the availability of the produce, which of places it is available. So how to address this issue of, right, to get the premium? So if you have got the data, like how much is the production, what is the requirement, what is the timeline? अगर मैं बात करूँ horticultural crops की, so as someone mentioned that when we grow grapes, then internationally it is not available. That is the reason that we are able to export more. So if you know that window, and if you will delay or delay the production period in case of horticultural crops, अगर एक हफ्ते के लिए भी उसको delay कर देते हैं या एक हफ्ते पहले का crop ले लेते हैं, तो शायद market में आपका arrival अलग time पे होगा और आपको उसका ज़्यादा price मिलेगा. उसी तरह से you have to see कि आप कौन सा last year what normally happens, ऐसा देखा गया है कि जब पिछले सीजन में बम्पर क्रॉप हुआ था तो एकरेज बढ़ जाता है, तो अगले सीजन में उसका ग्लट आ जाता है. So there are a lot of various reasons. So there cannot be one specific reason for why he is not able to get the better prices. Secondly, we have to see what value add we can do. So just by increasing the cost of input, either we are going to add value by secondary processing, are we going to get some variety which is more preferred, or like what, whether we can add anything else, like whether it has been sustainably grown or something, what differential you can create, that will give you the premium, right? So others can add, right? This is one point.
So just to build on Dinesh's response, I think as a grower, we can also look for regenerative farming practices. Because when we talk about regenerative farming practices, this is a little bit longer term, and that's why we of course have to be conscious that we implement those principles in phases. So farmers can gradually reduce their input cost. And when we are talking about regenerative farming, means you look for soil health, you look for water conservation, and if rightly done, just to give you some data point, when we are growing anything, most of the time in India, when we leave it open, we use 6 times more water. Means plant need only 1/6 of the water which is getting used in our agriculture practices. Same improving biodiversity, and of course building climate resilience, so it can help us to improve livelihood of farmers. So I think in 3 to 5 years, if consciously we implement these regenerative agriculture principles, we'll be able to improve our soil quality as well as input cost. We are, as a company, we are working with IDH on this front and developing this program, that from Unilever Sustainable Agriculture Code, now how we move towards regenerative agriculture principles, where we'll be working very closely with some of our partners, and it will be a co-learning process, but we believe that it will help us to reduce input cost as well as improve yield in coming years.
Thanks, Anshu. I think we need to take a pause here because of the time restriction. So just to summarize the whole session, I think when we talk about market linkages, it's not only the end point which we need to focus, but I think it starts with, let's say, diversification of the crops, focus on market-led production. Very, very important is the inclusion of smallholder. Today we have almost 85% growers falling under the category of smallholder, and this is where collectivization through FPO will play a very, very important. Couple of points which keep highlighted: the focus on quality, the focus on safety, focus on sustainability, and the adoption of the technology across the value chain, not only at the production level, but the ad. And just to summarize in one statement, maybe that also relates to the question which was raised. Today, it's not only the input cost which has increased. I mean, it's not only the agri input, but overall inflationary pressure is there for all the things, and we see that. Our agriculture production is very, very resource intensive. It's not only the input, but you take any input, right, from water, labor, anything. So what is really required is to focus on the efficiency. From resource intensive to resource efficient will be the mantra for the growers. And it has to happen at every stage, right, from seed, other inputs, water, labor, and look at the market. I think this is where the agriculture will be able to make profitable. So I just want to thank all the expert panelists. Please give them a big hand. And thanks to all the participants here for patient listening. So we are closing the session here. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, everyone. I request everyone to be here for a few moments. I request Director General Bombay Chamber to kindly come upon dais and felicitate the moderator of this session. I invite Mr. Sandeep Khosla ji to felicitate moderator of this session, Mr. Yogesh Mohite, Crop Lead, Horticulture and Plantation India, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, Bayer Crop Science Limited. Thank you so much. I request Khosla sir to be here on the dais for a group photo. And I request Mr. Yogesh Mohite to felicitate the speakers with the participation certificate and memento. Mr. Azhar Tambuwala, Ms. Ansu Archana, Dr. Dinesh Chauhan, Mr. N.K. Rajavelu. We will be starting the next session immediately. A group photo, please. Thank you very much, everyone.